Welcome back, dear viewers. Now it's time for our daily press review, and we are joined here in the studio with Ms. Sama Eissa. She's an international law expert. Good morning, Sama. And we start off from اليوم السابع newspaper, and we read the following headline: President Fattah al-Sisi holds summit talks with U.S. President at the White House. President Fattah al-Sisi held summit talks with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House on Monday. At the beginning of the talks, President al-Sisi thanked the U.S. President for inviting him to visit Washington. President Sisi added that Egypt will stand beside the United States in combating terrorism, adding that Egypt is on the U.S. side to implement a strategy to confront terrorism and eliminate it. President Sisi also praised the U.S. President, noting that President Trump has a unique personality, especially in regard to combating terrorism. So, Sama, now we see that terrorism was topping the agenda of the summit yesterday, among other issues. So, tell us more about the issues that were discussed in this summit.
Well, there's several issues that were discussed, but to prioritize them, like starting with the visit itself, as a start, the President Sisi went to talk and have a summit with the president of the most hegemonic country, which is the United States, highlights one thing to the international community, that Egypt is a key role player within the arena of the Middle East and the Arab world, because this sends a message to the international community. Second, concerning the fact that they talk excessively about the terrorism, they mentioned that it has to go both ways. We're going to cooperate with the United States, and the United States, as Trump stated, is going to cooperate with us. If this cooperation is going to happen, we need to take it to the side of the Muslim Brotherhood. It will be a very positive input if President Sisi and the people who are accompanied with him within this visit could convince Trump to state that the Muslim Brotherhood are a terrorist group. And we have the evidence for that, for the precautions that happened after the revolution of the 30s, because the classic definition of a terrorist group does define the Muslim Brotherhood. Even though this can create a conflict with the United States and other states within the region, but it's very important if we were able to do this in this visit, it's going to be very beneficial to the country. And also concerning the other point that Trump said, that he is acknowledging the efforts that President Sisi did in difficult times in Egypt. This also shows the international community and the world, it's like anti the propaganda that happened during the Obama's administration, that what happened in Egypt was illegal and it wasn't the voice of the people. But this support from President Trump assured the international community that's not, and we need to highlight it more. And to me, the thing that is really out there that's very beneficial is the military cooperation. Having a military cooperation with such a powerful state, the most powerful state in the world, the United States, is going to benefit Egypt a lot. We can take this as an example for what's happening with Israel. Israel is having the state's power because of its alliance with the military of the United States. And Egypt is the most powerful military within the region. We're the only military that it's actually the citizen of the own country in the Arab world, is it? We're not like Saudi Arabia. We don't have an American base in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, and we don't have Pakistanis or people from different citizens as based in the military. Like President Sisi always said, it's one man's heart. So this is very beneficial. And last thing you mentioned in the news, that he said it's going to be a long-lasting relationship. But this is about the duration where Trump is in power. But if Egypt, and we're smart enough to prove, as we are a strong alliance within the region, we can build a strong foundation that would last even when the administration of Trump is out of the system. It's embedded within the institution of the American policy. If presidential era changes, they're still aligning with us.
Okay, and moving to Al-Masri Al-Yawm newspaper, and we read the cabinet approves the comprehensive health insurance draft law. Prime Minister Sharif Ismail headed on Monday the cabinet's weekly meeting to discuss a number of files. During the meeting, the cabinet approved the comprehensive health insurance draft law and decided to refer it to the State Council for revision before sending it to the House of Representatives. The cabinet also approved a presidential decree to pardon some of the sentenced prisoners on the occasion of Sinai Liberation Day, which comes on the 25th of April. The cabinet also approved the presidential decree to allocate 2 state-owned pieces of land for the Industrial Development Authority to use them in establishing an industrial zone. So actually, the cabinet yesterday tackled also many issues, at the top of which is the comprehensive health insurance draft law. So in your opinion, to what extent this law will help in improving health services in Egypt?
Of course it would help, but
yes.
We can't just say it will happen full stop. It has consequences. The problem here, the news is positive, but at the same time it raises concern. First, with the industrial land, this is very good because
yes.
people who go into the industry, the thing that takes most bulk of the money is the land. So if they're going to provide them with land,
yes.
it's very good and helpful step. Second, the insurance. We've always said that education and health insurance is the key to stabilizing Egypt and having peace and serenity within the community itself, within Egypt. My concern is with the implementation. Before drafting such a law, is the environment safe enough, or the environment is encouraging enough to implement such laws? The hospitals, the facilities, everything, and it's free. Now people that have money and can afford to pay money for their health when they're sick and whatever, can't do it.
Yes.
What if people who also do not have the money to provide it? So this is a concern. The thing is, with the cabinet, here in Egypt, we are very good at legislating laws. We legislate laws all the time. But what's the thing that falls and creates a gap is the implementation. And the implementation falls because we don't see the surrounding environment. Is the environment good enough or can sustain such laws to be implemented? This is the concern. So I'm happy, but at the same time, it's concerning me a lot if the environment is encouraging to have these laws be manifested.
Yes. And moving to Al-Yom Al-Saba, and we read Egypt welcomes Pope Francis' visit to Cairo. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Ala Youssef said that His Holiness Pope Francis is expected to arrive in Cairo on the 28th of April. The presidential spokesman said that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi will hold an official reception ceremony and hold talks with the Pope. Youssef stressed that Egypt welcomes His Holiness Pope Francis in his first visit to Cairo. So first, Sama, what is the significance of this visit, and to what extent it will contribute in laying the foundation for peace as well as spreading principles of tolerance and coexistence?
First of all, I cannot hide my admiration for the Pope, because he is such an exceptional Pope from all the different popes that were taking his position before. But I can't help also to acknowledge the fact that this is going to show the world that Egypt does not have any ethnic problems between Christianity and Muslims, unlike other Arab worlds. Like his visit, I feel like it's peace visiting Egypt. It's like a white dove that's stepping into the country. So it will show the tolerance that Egypt have, because Sheikh Al-Azhar is going to meet him. And it shows that we have tolerance within Egypt for the two existing of religion as an Islamic state, even though the bombs attack that happened within the church earlier. So we need to take the maximum benefit of this visit to demonstrate to the world that Egypt is a safe place, and we are not unlike Iraq, and people have problems with two ethnicities of religion existing. We coexist together peacefully and happily.
And moving to Al-Watan newspaper, and we read Egypt condemns St. Petersburg blast. Egypt condemned the blast that took place on Monday in the city of St. Petersburg that killed at least 10 people and injured dozens more. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry sent condolences to the families of the victims and wishes for speedy recovery for the injured. The statement also stressed the solidarity of the Egyptian government and people with the Russian government and people in this difficult time. More details in the coming report.
Train carriage on Monday that killed 11 people and wounded 45 was carried out by a suspected suicide bomber with ties to radicals. Russia's Interfax news agency reported the news, citing a law enforcement source as saying Russian President Vladimir Putin, who was in the city when the blast struck, visited the scene of the explosion late on Monday night and laid a bunch of red flowers at a makeshift shrine to the victims. Witnesses said they saw passengers who were bloodied and burned spilling out of the train, the door of which was buckled by the force of the explosion and laying on a platform while smoke filled the station. Security experts say Russia's military intervention in Syria has now made it a potential target for attacks by the Daesh terrorist group. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. Officials said they were treating the blast as an act of terrorism, but there was no official confirmation of any link to radicals.
Back to you, Sama, and as we all saw yesterday, the terrorist attack that took place in St. Petersburg. So the frequency of the terrorist attack recently proves that no country is immune from terrorist attacks. So how can the international community unite to face terrorism?
Exactly. I want to pick up from where you just said. No country is immune to terrorism.
Yes.
And as you just mentioned, the international community and everyone feels sad, and it's a very sad news, but this shows one thing: what goes around comes around. Remember when we had our terrorist attack and Russia banned the tourists and the trips for Egypt?
Yes.
Now they have the taste of what we have been experiencing. Now they're having also a terrorist attack that's going to affect their terrorism and people stepping into their countries.
True.
So what if actually here in the same program several times we read the same news that Russia is saying that the security in Egypt is now safe, but they didn't say people from their country should start and safe enough to go to have terrorist trips or whatever to Egypt. So now they're having the same thing. So it's not something that Egypt is defaulted or something affected in the country. Like you said, terrorism knows no religion and no one is immune to it. And I hope like speed recovery within the fact that it's a shaky event that shakes the foundation of the country and really terrorizes people.
Yes.
I wish them a quick recovery.
And moving to Al-Yom Al-Saba newspaper, and we read the Chinese ambassador says Egypt has a strategy to develop the Suez Canal access. The Chinese ambassador in Cairo, Song Ego, said on Monday that Egypt is one of the first targeted countries for Chinese investments abroad. He added that many Chinese companies are looking forward to investing in the Egyptian market, especially the Suez Canal access, which is a great opportunity to enter the African and European markets. The ambassador's comments came during the annual conference on the occasion of launching the Chinese industrial zone in the northwest of the Gulf of Suez. So how do you read the statements by the Chinese ambassador in Cairo, and how do you evaluate relations between Egypt and Russia as it witnessed a leap not only at the level of trade exchange but also at the level of many important projects that were established in Egypt in many fields?
First, starting with the Suez Canal, it has been something unfair happened to it because of the surrounding circumstances during the production and the propaganda that happened in Suez Canal. But the alliances now that's happening with Russia is going to be very beneficial for the country. Unfortunately, during the Suez Canal, what happened after the project was over, the international community, the whole world, especially in the level of the economy, was witnessing some sort of a serenity because of what happened with the petroleum, and it also affected the trade because it was just before the era where the timing, the presidential era of exchange between Trump and Hillary, so everyone is so cautious about their investment and their trade. And what happened with the petroleum. That's why the Suez Canal didn't witness the expected activity and the expected prosperity out of it because of the surrounding circumstances. So now, picking up from what you just mentioned, that the Chinese ambassador said and their interest in going to work with the Suez Canal, this is going to give the necessary boost, maybe an extra boost, since it's going now to flourish economically worldwide and it's going to reflect by default on the Suez Canal.
Yes. And still with Al-Yom Asaba newspaper, and we read Minister of Tourism continues his visit to Italy. Minister of Tourism Yahya Rashid continued his meetings during his participation in the International Tourism Exhibition in Milan. On the sidelines of the exhibition, the minister met with representatives of Italian Tourism Companies Union. The meeting tackled the security situation in Egypt, as the minister stressed the stability of the security situation in the country and the tightening of security measures not only in the Egyptian airports but throughout the country. The meeting also focused on the launch of an advertising campaign in the Italian famous television channels as well as e-marketing. So how do you evaluate the minister's efforts to promote tourism? And as we can see that he's adopting new ways like launching advertisements in Italian famous television channels as well as e-marketing.
Of course, this will reflect positively in the country, especially in the times that now it's starting to flourish a little bit within the tourism. With Italy, the efforts are going to reflect back in the Egypt tourist flow in the future, hopefully, and I'm looking forward to see more efforts like this with different countries other than Italy, and I think the advertisement is a very smart move.
Yes. Okay, Ms. Eissa, international law expert, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And now, dear viewers, we'll go for a short break and we'll be back with the breakfast show, so stay tuned.